Greetings, brave adventurers! My name is FoxyBard. Oh, I forgot to sing you a song. Hang on, I've got one. FoxyBard, FoxyBard, Foxy all the It's August. Foxy, whatever. Welcome to Community Day, where I read stories taken from my own community Discord server. And the one I have for you today is gonna be the same one I have for you for the next 5 weeks? 5 weeks. It's long, it's an epic, and it gets messy. It gets very messy. Throughout this saga there will be gaslighting, MRAs, neo-Nazis, the KKK, you name it. It's here. Oh, it's here. So grab yourself a seat around the fire as we dig into part 1 of this tale of role-playing. To start us off, here's our title screen along with a little intro by the author. The story is called The Druid, Wolverine, and the Third Reich, which is just as bad as it sounds. And it's by the user Core Zion, or just Zion as it says here. Hello everyone! This is a tale that may take a bit to unpack, and that looking back, I wish I had paid attention to the red flags both in-game and out-of-game. I know that I made a lot of mistakes, but at the time, I had thought that the players, Druid and Wolverine, were friends. Having so few, and believing that they were childhood friends of my spouse as well, I turned a blind eye to things that I should not have, and ignored some gut feelings. I have since grown from the experience, and with that said, on to the tale that you are waiting for. Tale, start. Chapter 1. And so it begins. To get a better grasp on things, I will have to take you all back to a time before the lockdowns and global devastation that is known as COVID. I had been running a 3.5 D&D campaign for some time, one which I became the DM for because our previous DMs dropped out before the start, and my idea to have one player be a DM, then switch to another at the end of the adventure was liked, so they voted me the DM to start, and as a result, was made the perma-DM of the group. From one always DM to another, I feel you. We had just lost 2 players from our group, a married couple who were having issues outside of the game that they sometimes brought into the game and were generally disruptive at the table, and eventually were kicked/left after several large incidents that would make for another story. Back on topic, we were joined by another player who took the role of Druid, and since their husband wanted to play, and we didn't really have room for another player, it was decided that he would be the voice of the Druid's companion, an awakened Wolverine. So for those of you thinking it was the Marvel character, sorry, it isn't. In hindsight, I now see that this was one of my mistakes. That and believing that they would be responsible players. I had set a rule that because they are an animal companion, that they would act on the turn of the Druid at their command. Something simple and I thought would be no issue. I was wrong. As time continued, Wolverine started to push to do more and more, eventually arguing that because he has a character sheet, that he should level up and get his own turns, essentially becoming his own character in the game. It got to a point where they wore me down and I allowed it. This is where I believe that they got the idea that they could get things past me easily. Druid was her own special type of problem. They had stated they were not familiar with playing D&D, but that they were willing to learn. Bringing new players in is something that I used to enjoy doing. That kind of died after Druid and Wolverine, and so teaching her would not be an issue, especially since Wolverine was knowledgeable in things and we believed would help out of the game with things, being that they're married to one another. Instead, this led to sometimes the game having to pause for 10 to 15 minutes when it came to Druid's turn, as she looked up what her spells can do, or Wolverine would start coaching her on the best ways to use her spells for maximum effect in situations. It was more like watching a coach direct a boxer from their corner than someone playing. Times that I tried to help were spoken over by Wolverine and would countermand things that I rule as a DM. See, this is the point where I would tell them to either stop or leave. Right here. With so many red flags popping up, one would think that the running of the bulls was taking place, but I ignored them. Why would I do so? Because I knew Druid and Wolverine out of game, and they were friends of my spouse, Druid having gone to Sunday school with them, and Wolverine having been a co-worker of my spouse. The 3.5 campaign came to an end, and the planning for a new one began for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, with Druid and Wolverine wanting to join in and already having characters in mind. I was of a mind to tell them no, but then they were friends out of game, and so I agreed, and they started to share their character ideas. Druid teamed up with my spouse to have their characters be twins, separated after one was kicked out of the monastery and the other remained, while Wolverine rolled up a rogue spy. I apologize to all rogues that you guys keep being the problem players in games like this. I know rogues aren't always bad. Wolverine's character was an elf, who explained that they were inspired by Deadpool, take a shot, and wanted their character to be 101 years old, which after hearing that for their age, said it had to be an elven, not human years, since he would be very young for an elf otherwise. Their backstory was that they were taken in as a youngster and taught spycraft from a young age, eventually stealing away a letter meant for a high-ranking member of the military and slipping off into the night with that as insurance that no one will come after them for fear of what the letter might contain. I thought it was a bit edgelordy, but the potential for story hooks overruled my judgment, and the translation of the character's name having gone over my head, as there was a wedding and other things that were going on in my life, such that things did not register. The name that they had for their character was Rex Umbra, which I came to learn means Dark King. Yeah, I should have seen that one. Hey. Umbra can also mean shadow, which that's not better. That's not better. Never mind. Starting the party off with separate session zeros for paired party members, I began the group as heading towards or living in Baldur's Gate, as they carry out different tasks that would eventually lead to the first group session, where the tasks and events the party did culminated into the open of murder in Baldur's Gate. My spouse wanted to stream the sessions, which made some sense to me with it being recorded, and we can check things later, as well as a number of the players also being from the YouTube and streaming community. Hi. It seemed like a good idea. During the streams, we got a few people that were showing up in the chat and also in the Discord that my spouse had set up, saying that they found it by way of Druid and Wolverine. Keep in mind those people, they're worrisome. Being the DM, I do not pay attention to the stream chat, but apparently there were things going on that Wolverine brought to my attention while we were out for a Pokemon Go hunt. Yes, we were /are that nerdy. Oh, don't worry, I remember the summer of Pokemon Go. I was doing it too.
Hey, DM. I have something I want to talk to you about.
Wolverine began.
Some of the guys don't like how you had one of the characters.
What do you mean? I asked, confused.
You see, they were not happy with how you had a person in color in charge of the town guards, he continued, and that she was telling the others what they can and can't do.
I was still confused as to how that was an issue. What do you mean?
Oh, it's cool. I mean, others might have an issue with it,
Wolverine continued.
I got you covered, though. I explained it to them. But you might want to be careful with you being what you are.
I don't know about the rest of you, but my alarm bells are going off the charts at all of this. It was at that point that I started to question myself. If I had done something wrong and started to perhaps overanalyze things. Me being of mostly white American background and a southern US accent that likes to show itself. But we played D&D with no webcams, so people in the chat or streams would not be able to see that.
I mean, some might think you are being racist.
Wolverine broke my train of thought.
I know you aren't, and you know I'm not. I mean, just look at me,
he said while motioning to himself. Wolverine being of white British Indian, India, heritage.
I can't be racist.
Okay, so that's not how racism works. Moving on. Going back to the game, I found myself steering away from the NPC, who was one of the named NPCs in the printed adventure, and I had hoped to set up as an ally to the party as they uncover more things. I also started to find myself second-guessing things more and more. This seemed to be what Wolverine wanted or hoped for, as he would use it to get away with things more and more. Wolverine would mention things that would happen in the chat to me, and how they are keeping things under control. Each time, not telling me what I might have done to upset someone, just saying that he handled it. I started to look through the recordings, and I could see none of the comments that Wolverine was talking about in the chat. So once more, I was still left puzzled. Tail end. And that is where Chapter 1 ends. Today was a good old-fashioned ride on the Gaslight Express. But I have a poll for you all. Do you think that Wolverine's friends and associates, do you think they had a problem with the captain of the guard because A, she was a woman, B, she was a person of color, or C, all of the above? Answers in the comments below, and tune in to the future episodes to see how that turns out. There were so many red flags, and this is only Chapter 1 of 5. So I hope you're all ready for next week, when we're gonna go right back into this. I've read the whole thing, and it gets worse. It gets much, much worse. That'll do it for Community Day this week, however. Tune in next week for Chapter 2. I've started doing stupid jingles for my outros, so I'm just gonna ad-lib one for you. What song? You should like me. That'd be great. Or you can subscribe. That'd be great. You can ring my bell if you would like to know when I upload more of these videos. And I want to know down in the comments below what you thought of the story, so we have to go into the comments. Into the comments. Into the comments. I ended off that one a little bit flat. I'll have to revisit that. It's a work in progress. But I'm still gonna put it out into the world. Why? Because I abandoned shame, and I've never felt better about it. Anyway, there's also the FoxyBard Discord server, which is where this and all other Community Day stories come from. You can join that. It's down in the description below. In addition, it's time for me to do my big thank you to all my patrons over on FoxyBard.Patreon. That's not how Patreon works. Patreon.com/FoxyBard. That is how Patreon works. Critical Kunik, Malkavian Milkballs, Stephen Reyes, Sylvia, Cintaria, Tegan Longtail, ZeroFang881, and Zorolo. I love and appreciate you all so much. You help me keep doing this, and I appreciate it to the ends of the earth, because I like doing this for you guys. If you would like to become a patron as well, you can head over to patreon.com/FoxyBard and sign up there. It'll get you a special role in the FoxyBard Discord server, as well as access to an exclusive patrons-only chat where it's a lot easier to have one-on-one conversations with me, talk to me about videos, all that kind of good stuff. Also, Kunik will not stop posting cats, and that's a good thing. And with that, I am out of here for today. So, let's douse the fire and get back to our own adventures.